Hello and welcome to Murphy's Garden. I'm in my scruffs ready to do some hard work because it's that time of year when I need to get on and clear everything, cut everything back, ready for the spring. So spring is definitely in the air. There's crocuses, there's snowdrops, there's daffodils starting to come out. So it's lovely to see. And as you can hear, the birds are singing like crazy today. I've got a little robin that's following me around singing to me as I work, which is lovely. And the sun's come out too. So it feels quite spring-like, and it makes me energized, ready to go again. So there's a lot to do. It can be quite daunting, knowing where to even begin. So the way I try and do it is just to sort of focus on what's the job in front of me, because everything needs done all at once. So I did that quadrant last weekend. I'm going to cut everything back on this one, and then I will be mulching all the borders as well. It's been taken out. There's lots of supports and things kicking about here, which are all the supports that we put in the spring, but I remove those at this time of year just so I can get everything cleared and cut back. The grasses is a good time to cut them back now. So perennial grasses, it's a good idea to cut them at this time of year in February, because if you leave it later, then the new growth starts to come through and you end up cutting off the new growth. So I'm going to do that. I just do that with the electric hedge cutter. So I've done one. That one is getting too big and needs to be split, possibly this one as well. So yeah, and then if I just turn the camera around, you'll see. So this is the hornbeam walk, and you'll see that I have cleared one side. This side is all clear. I did that a couple of weekends ago, and this side is not clear. It needs to be cleared. So the plan is, as we've talked about in other videos, last year we made preparations we're going to be putting in hydrangea, strong Annabelle, all along both sides of the hornbeam walk, because we felt this is just a bit of a mishmash of planting. It doesn't look great. It's in full shade, and a lot of the things like the roses are scrambling up through the hornbeam and just getting a big tangle. So we wanted to revisit that, and we felt kind of having a more simplistic planting palette would look better. So that's the plan. Alice has said that he will give me a hand with this side, because this side I managed to do myself, but this side is going to be really hard going because there's a lot of like Japanese anemone and things with quite big roots on them. Most of the stuff I don't want because we've got it elsewhere in the garden, but things like the clematis, I'll save those, and anything else that's worth saving. Gosh, my little robin's singing away. So I need to stop talking and get back to work. So here I go. So I begin by using the electric hedge cutter. It's just quicker that way, just to cut back this Miscanthus. This is called Miscanthus Yakushima dwarf. So that makes quick work of that, especially when it's speeded up. And next I'm just going to go through on my hands and knees, just going through weeding quite thoroughly, just hand weeding. It's just better that way. If I can do a really good job at this time of year, it saves me so much time later in the year, but we'll speed things up a little bit and get through it a bit faster. And it's a good opportunity just to get to grips with the border. So just see what's starting to emerge, cut back any perennials. There's a rose in here which I've cut back as well, but a lot of perennials just need cutting right back, and I will be mulching the area so that will protect it. So this will go onto the compost heap, which will be shredded. And next, this is the Miscanthus. So it's just getting a bit big. I don't want these Miscanthus to take over the border. I quite like them just being a certain size. I think if they got much bigger than this, then I'd have a real job handling them and dealing with them when it's time to cut back. So it's better to keep them this size and keep them manageable. So using a spade, I just cut the clump into two, and then once I've done that, then I just replace it back into the hole, and that just makes another plant. I do know somebody that would like a piece, so I can give that away. And the other one on the other side is the original plant, so it's even bigger, so I will be splitting that one too. So it just goes back into the hole, replace the soil, and it will come back and look as good as new this summer. And next I'm just going to add some bone meal to the area prior to putting on the mulch. So this just gives it a general light feed ready for spring. Just everything's starting to emerge, so it just gives it a little bit of boost to the roots. And we've got no shortage of lovely homemade compost, so we'll put that on in abundance on the borders, and that will feed everything as well, and also hopefully suppress the weeds too. And it really is noticeable working in this part of the garden, having worked at the new area where we've put the trees in, how really lovely the soil is in this area, just because we've been adding mulch to it now for sort of probably about 8 years. So it's really, really helping. So if we do that in the other area too, we will over time get this nice black, lovely, crumbly compost and soil. And that's taken me the rest of the day. So I've mulched both borders. And that's it for today. So we'll carry on again tomorrow, but tonight we'll just be sung out by the robin. So I've managed to get all this side done. Both of these borders have been mulched and weeded, and they're ready for spring. Unfortunately, I've got the same this side as well, quite a lot to do. And also the two borders at the front, with the Amylanchias are all budded and about to come out, and we are going to do a video on planting Amylanchias, because we've got the Amylanchia, I think it's called Grandiflora Robin Hill, that we've planted in the new area, and we've also got the two Amylanchias here, so hopefully they will have opened up and we can talk a little bit more about them. But they're looking lovely, but they don't look so lovely because the area underneath them is just a bit of chaotic mess, so I do need to tidy that just so that the Amylanchias look at their best. But I will just come on and just talk about some other jobs that we're doing in preparation for spring. Down in the sunken garden to this side of me, the archway, which is covered in ivy, was wobbling. We've had quite a lot of storms here in the UK the last few weeks, and I think really it's just the ivy that was holding the arch up. So Alistair has been repairing that, and we find that actually it's caused by, we've had a mole. We had a mole last year that's formed a tunnel all the way under the sunken garden, which is really rather annoying. But anyway, the mole has gone, and so the archway, he's just had to re-cement that and put a new post in that. So I'll just show you that. And then what else we're doing, the shed. So my shed, like I guess lots of people, you end up sort of using it as a bit of a dumping ground. Everything just kind of gets shoved in there, and it was just looking a real mess. And then we had the leak over the winter where the roof was leaking. Everything got wet inside, so I really had to have a proper big sort out. So I did that. I've taken everything out of the shed and tidied it all and put it all back in again, and kind of looked at it with fresh eyes and realised that this shed is a big shed, and it's quite an asset really. So I want to sort of make the most of that shed. So Al's helping me just give a bit of a facelift to the shed. He's sorting out a few other issues that we've had. We've got water that's been coming in underneath the shed as well, so he's dealing with that. He sorted out the roof. So hopefully it'll be a lot better, and we're going to insulate it, put another lining of board up, just to keep it dry and a bit warmer as well. So that's quite exciting, and we're going to make it look a bit nicer inside as well. And we can do videos from inside the shed, so that's quite exciting. And then the greenhouse is a tip as well. So everything's got to come out of the greenhouse. Al's going to put some electrics in there for me, because I want to get, when I start seed sowing, I'd like to be able to have the propagators in the greenhouse, because at the moment they're in the shed and there's just not enough light in the shed, so I need the addition of a bit of heat with the propagators and the light. So I think Alistair has, I hope he has, because I absolutely loathe the job of washing out the greenhouse. So I think he's volunteering to do that this year, thank goodness. So I'm going to get all my stuff out, all my mess out of there, and let him get in there with the pressure washer and get that done. So we're cracking on with all these jobs, and we'll be ready for spring hopefully. So getting on well, but quite tired. This garden is a tale of two halves. I've done one half of the garden and have yet to tackle anything to my left. There's a lot still to do. So Al's busy, you can hear the noise. He's just pressure washing all around the shed and the greenhouse as well. So we'll go and have a look at what he's up to, and I'll just take you for a little look around the garden, what I've done so far. So this is the area with the Amylanchia tree. I put this box hedging in. The box has got blight, as you can see there. I'll have to cut that out, but I just don't think this area really works. It's got the Enothera, and I had so much Verbena bonariensis all around it. It was hell to get out. That's what most of the stuff is in the bulk bag, so much. And it's got grass, and it's got the drumstick alliums and things, but it's not really working for me. And then I did start putting this as Sarcococca hookeriana, which I was going to make a little hedge out of, and that hasn't really worked either. So I'm tempted to lift that and just put it together in one big area to make a kind of a bigger plant. I don't know, but I know we have got plans for this area here all the way. This joins this square of grass. It doesn't work, and then it comes around here. This is from historically how it was curved. It doesn't look right, so this really jars this whole area. But that is something we're going to work on. We've got to do something. We've got problems with drainage on this patio and just lots of issues really here, but for now it's just about making it look tidy. So I'll have to just go and get some compost and I think just mulch this area. That lavender looks a bit silly there, but I moved it away from the path because I was clearing the area from the path, and I kind of was going to put it on the compost heap, but I felt I kind of didn't want to be out without any lavender this summer, so I just stuck it in there, which was a bit silly really. Then this area is looking good. On this side it's looking lovely. It looks so much bigger when it's all cleared compared to this side, which is chaos. Oh, I can't really face doing that. I have cut the got to dig that one up and split it, and I did split that one, so that's a better size. So yeah, there's an awful lot to do in here, so we'll just go for a little quick mini tour around the garden. And this area is looking, it's nice and easy to maintain this area, so we are going to be hopefully get into this job. We need to take a chunk out of the hedge and we're going to put in the seating, so a lot of that soil will need to come out and has to go in a lot lower. Thinking at that miscanthus, we may move that up to where the tree area is, because I think that would look lovely there. There's a mould damage here that needs sorting out and reseeding. That's the choicea that just looks awful. It died last winter. Well, it didn't die, but it's coming back, but we thought we need to get something nicer there. Then here the archway has been fixed, so that cement has gone off now, so that soil can go back in again. And we want to just keep this ivy under control, so I'm cutting it back. I don't want it to go anywhere else in the garden, just on the arch. We've got the sun's come out now and it's lovely, so we've got lots of little bulbs and things, and the snowdrops are out, and the lovely little hellebores are looking pretty. So lots of nice things to see here. There's another little clump of snowdrops. That euphorbia is just opening up. That looks nice. So the woodland garden's looking nice. We do need to get some new surface on the path just to renew that, because you're starting to see the plastic coming through and it looks a bit ugly. Down here the box is looking a bit better. We have got a bit of box blight in the garden, which is really annoying, but I've took out a plant that was quite bad with it, and I've got a spare box so I can replace it, and I think it's just a case of just keeping on top of it. There was a big chunk here that had to be removed, so I've cut all that out. The parterre Alistair's pressure washed, so that's looking good. Got to get some horse manure or some sort of farmyard manure on the roses, or could just use compost, I don't know. Horse manure would be better. I did this side, this quadrant with the manure, and then I've done it with the strolch, so that one at least is done, but I need to do the other three. Then here Al's just pressure washing. He's done this area. Yeah. And then this area where the trees are, oh, I just love it. It's so lovely, and the sun gets the lovely evening sun. That even in the winter when the sun is quite low, the rest of the front of the back garden is in shade, but this is just lovely. So I have made a little bit of a start, put the cornice in, and I've put some other plants in. It's a little evergreen, And then what we thought, we've got a hydrangea here, so I thought that would look quite nice. That's getting a bit pot bind in there, so that could go in. And that miscanthus would look lovely in the light, catching the light. And here, this little evergreen, we thought that would look quite nice in the middle. So the idea is that we perhaps get a metal circle, a bit like we did for the bottomless pots, and put that in where the middle circle is, fill it with soil, and then put that plant in the middle. It's quite a slow grower, and then surround it with like kind of wildflowers, little wildflower meadow underneath, which I thought would look quite nice. So that's the plan. We've marked out, played around with the path because it just wasn't quite right, and I think this is about the way we're going to have it. So just a gentle snake, and we were talking about doing it with a kind of Bredon fabric and like crushed stone, but I can't think how it would work because it comes off the grass down here, and for it to transition into Bredon, I don't think it would look right. So we've decided, and also for cost reasons, just to continue the grass up to the circle, and then the circle would have mirroring the kind of cobbles, have some sort of little cobble circle in the middle, and then going off a little path going off in through that archway, and then another grass path going off round the back there, and then up here underneath the tree here we would have little seat, and perhaps just some little stones, little kind of stepping stones coming out from here to sit under the Heptacodium tree, and that would just be lovely to sit here in the evening. It's the very last spot in the garden to get the last of the evening sun. So that's the plan. We'll just go and have a look at this area. So we'll go through this hedge. So there's a lot to be done here. We've got to finish off this area. We've got to put the rest of the stones out, get rid of all the weeds, and then the summer house will go on here. We've got to redo all these edging stones because they've become quite wobbly. They didn't really work when we did them last time. The rill has got to be done. That's a job we'll work on throughout the summer. It's not going to be finished for some time. And these borders need to be sorted out. I have done work on them in the autumn, but they will need to all be cut back and probably thin out some of the steepers. They're getting too big. Then if we head into the veggie patch, we'll see what Alistair's up to. There's my little blackbird. He comes everywhere with me. He's my replacement Murphy. Murphy's inside sleeping and is less enthusiastic than he used to be. They're my broad beans, which were in the greenhouse but have just come out while Al cleans. And then what we want to do here is we want to put in raised borders here. A lot of the wood here is rotting, and so we're going to replace it and have raised borders, which we think will be easier to manage really. So down the bottom I've prepared, these posts are to have gate posts either side of the yew hedge. We're going to have a gate, and then down here that border at the bottom is going to be where I'm going to do my cut flowers this year. I have been busy weeding all this area, so that's pretty much good to go, as is this one. So we've got quite a lot of growing space. This is the fruit side. I'm going to probably get rid of the raspberries because it's just not very good really, and for the space they take up I think we could do more with this area, so I'm probably going to get rid of that. Alice has cut them back, but there's a lot of mess sitting around just because we just had to clear it. And it's now the following weekend, so I've carried on mulching, cutting back, mulching and weeding and doing all those things, and I've finished the quadrant garden. And as I said, it's important just to keep focused on the job in hand and not to get too down about all the other hundreds of other things you've still got to do. So it's nice to have one area done, sometimes I think when I did the video back in January, you come up with a long list. I'm going to get this done and that done. and it's always far more ambitious than you could ever really do, and sometimes it's quite demoralising, isn't it, when you've got loads to do and you just want to push on with the more exciting jobs. But the humdrum maintenance is a big part of gardening. Probably about 80% of gardening is just the repetitive tasks of, you know, weeding, cutting back, painting, repairing, all the things that need done. All this stuff's got to endure a winter of harsh weather, wet and rain and wind and all these things. So inevitably things get broken. So going around fixing everything again and getting it looking good for this summer. So let's try and keep our spirits up and not get too demoralised by this inevitable fact that we have to do all these things. But in doing so, sometimes it makes you look at something with new eyes, and I think the shed has definitely been that for me. It's just a boring shed, but now I'm kind of looking at it again, thinking actually it could be something a bit better than what it is. So we're going to be giving that a bit of a revamp. As I said, we're going to insulate it and just have it just a nicer place to be and to spend time in. And the plan for today, we're just about to go off to Mike, our friend who is the blacksmith, and he made the bottomless pots for us. So we're going to go and see him because he's always says anytime we want some farmyard manure, just to come over and he'll give it to us. So we're going to pop over to see him. It's always lovely to see him. And want to get masses of manure because we're going to put it on the new area where the trees are. So the trees, they're surrounded by bare soil, and if we leave it, it will be in a few weeks, a few months time that the weeds will start to grow and we'll be trying to weed them and everything. So it's better to put a large mulch of manure on there. We'll probably get some bark chippings as well to really do a nice thick mulch of that. We won't put the manure up to the plants because it might be not that well rotted, so we'll just see what it's like, but we won't put it up to the collar of the plants. We'll keep it away, but just put it on that soil and let the weather take it down, because we know that soil is a bit depleted of any living matter, so that will do wonders for that area. So I think that's it really. I am just carrying on with all the maintenance. I did paint about 5 panels yesterday in the vegetable garden because the paint is just starting to come off. It's just one of these jobs I have to just keep going around, carrying on painting all the time. But anyway, we've got the greenhouse done. It's lovely and clean, and really excited to start my seed sowing in earnest. Murphy has got somewhere nice and warm to be now. We've done the shed and the greenhouse, so he'll be out with me a bit more now the weather is starting to warm up a little bit. So thank you very much for watching, and join us again in the next video. Bye for now.